The founders and brands that I work with, they don't want more theory. They want actionable steps. They want to know, what should I do this week to grow profitably? Well, this video is my answer to some of their questions. It's an 8-step weekly checklist that I use with brands spending millions on ads, and it works. I didn't just stumble on this checklist. 10 years in e-commerce, millions of dollars in meta ad spend across many brands, both my own and client brands. This is essentially what it all boiled down to: a simple, repeatable process for profitable growth. Not just growth for the sake of it, but real growth, contribution margin growth, net profit growth. And I haven't just used this checklist once or twice or 3 times. I've used it hundreds of times across dozens of brands, thousands of creatives, millions in ad spend, millions of dollars in contribution margin. So if meta ads are 50% or more of your paid media budget, which they probably are for most of you if you're a D2C brand, this checklist should be very helpful. It's designed to help you maximize every single dollar and squeeze every drop of profitable growth out of the platform as you possibly can. So the very first thing on the list before you touch a single ad is what I call a weekly performance review. Now, some people call it a weekly business review. Some people call it a weekly operating meeting, but you can call it whatever you want. It doesn't matter. The point is to sit down and review the business, review last week's results from top to bottom. And I don't just mean ad metrics, because this is where you stop thinking just like a media buyer and you start thinking like a business operator. Your goal in this weekly performance review is to understand the performance of the entire business. Even if you are just managing meta ads, you're just a media buyer, you are part of a bigger system. Ads are just one cog in the machine. If the entire machine is not running profitably, your job is not done. So you need to look at the right numbers, at the important numbers, at the metrics that actually matter, which is a topic for another video. But for example, for the sake of this video, AMER, new customer contribution margin, and so on, the metrics that actually matter. Now, the key with your weekly performance review, with your weekly operating meeting, is not just to scan the numbers, but to write your thoughts down, write comments. So look at the numbers, write your thoughts down, and write comments. When you force yourself to write, you really force yourself to think, and that's where the insight happens. So for example, you might say, we hit our AMER target. New customer revenue is looking good week on week. It's looking solid. Contribution margin per new customer is stable. That tells me that our ad platforms are performing and we might have room to scale the budget. Do this across all channels: Meta, Google, email, affiliates, influencer. Any channel that you're running, you should include in your weekly performance review. Now that you have reviewed the entire business, not just ad platform performance, now is the time where you make meta ads changes. This is where you adjust the budget, you adjust the bids, you make optimizations in Meta. But the key is that you're making these optimizations after you have reviewed the entire business. So you're not just scaling based on in-platform ROAS or CPA. You're scaling based on the metrics that actually matter. Because scaling based on in-platform numbers is how brands lose money. I have seen it happen 1,000 times. A campaign looks great in Meta, but when you zoom out, the business is actually making less profit. That's why never vibe scale. Make sure you only scale when there's room to actually profitably scale. And you should figure that out using AMER, new customer contribution margin, and so on and so forth. Next up on the checklist is to check your marketing calendar. Now, this one is very simple, but it's so powerful. Every week you should check your marketing calendar. It should be the foundation of everything you do across Meta and all your advertising channels. The best brands are not relying on random bursts of creative or throw things at the wall and see what sticks ads. They're building a system around offers, promos, products, drops, and everything is mapped to their marketing calendar. It's not just about making new creative, it's about bringing newness to the market every single week, new reasons for customers to care. So in our agency, we keep this marketing calendar in Google Sheets. Every Monday, whoever's managing the account will review it to make sure that we're briefing creative in time. We're launching ads for upcoming promos, and we are adding ideas and experiments to our meta ads backlog, so we're well ahead of things. If your marketing calendar is empty, I've got a free template that you can use. It's the same one we use internally, and I'll share a link to it at the end of the video. The next step is one of the most important ones, and this is going to be no surprise to any of you watching this, but it is creative brainstorming. In 2025, creative is one of the only levers that you can pull if you have your meta ads fundamentals in place. If you have your fundamentals in place, pretty much everything comes down to the strength of your creative ideas, which is why you need a weekly habit of idea generation. So you can't just wait until performance drops and then scramble the team for new ideas. You've got to fill your bank of ideas well before you need them. This is a very important habit to build. It's one that I've built over a decade of running Facebook ads, and it makes scaling dramatically easier. Having a deep backlog of creative ideas ready to go means that you and the team are never stuck in panic mode. You always have something that you can use as inspiration for new creative ideas. You're never starting entirely from scratch, which is where you don't want to be. I store my ideas in ClickUp. We store our ideas in ClickUp. Use whatever tool you like, ClickUp, Notion, Google Sheets. Write them on a piece of paper for all I care. Just store them somewhere. The format doesn't matter. It's the habit of brainstorming new ideas every week that does matter. So every week, set a goal to come up with a certain number of new ideas. The ideas do not have to be perfect, just build the muscle. So come up with new ideas every week. If you need help coming up with ideas, I've got another video that walks through my full creative brainstorming process. I'll put a link in the description. Okay, so you've brainstormed ideas, you've got a backlog of solid ideas. Now the next step is to take some of these ideas and start writing creative briefs with them. And I'm not talking about full scripts or polished concepts, just the scaffolding, the bare bones of an ad. The goal is to have a backlog of ideas and a backlog of briefs. So they're ready to go when it's time to produce ads. So you're not starting from scratch. So the way to do this is simple. Pick any idea from your list, from your brainstorm list, and just write a very quick bullet point outline of the brief. Not every brief is going to be a winner. That is completely fine. That's normal. That's how the process is supposed to be. You're playing a volume game here. If you've got 10 briefs, the odds are that at least one or two of them are worth pursuing when it comes time to producing creative. That's all you need. Just enough structure in this draft brief that when it's time to write a complete brief, you have your ideas down on paper. You should definitely be using AI to speed things up a bit. I have a custom GPT that I've built in Claude because I find Claude writes better copy. So I'll just ask it to come up with 3, 5, 10 different versions of a script uh, based on any one of the ideas that I have. And then I'll take the best bits and put them together into a quick little draft brief. So don't aim for perfect, just get something down on paper and you can always refine it later. You should treat this like an assembly line. Fill the backlog up, don't overthink it, just produce, just get things out on paper. Next up in the weekly checklist is creator scouting. So you have added ideas to your backlog, to your library. You've added briefs to your library. Now, the final step, if you have ideas, you have briefs, you need creators to produce the ads. So the next step in this weekly checklist is creator scouting. If you want to scale with UGC or influencer content, you obviously need creators to produce the content for you. And again, you don't want to be stuck in panic mode. You want to have a backlog of creators to draw from so they're ready to go when you need them. That's why this, just like the other two, need to be a weekly habit. Keep your pipeline of creators full because building relationships takes time. So you might find the perfect creator today, but they might not be ready to shoot until next week or next month. You'd be surprised how often I start communicating with a creator and they are on holiday. They're moving houses. They are having a baby. Who knows? They live normal lives just like us. So you don't want to be stuck scrambling when it comes time to produce the creative. You want to build these relationships, keep them going, keep your pipeline full. So create a database. Again, ClickUp, Notion, Google Sheets, piece of paper, wherever, just create a database. Every week, allocate some time, set a goal to add a certain number of new creators every week to that list and use tools like Influencer Hero or Saral to find qualified creators, filter by audience, filter by niche, and filter by engagement, and just add them to your database. Another way you can do it is by finding your favorite creators on Instagram and clicking the suggested profiles tab, and it'll show you similar creators. Another trick is to search product-related hashtags, find content that you like about your product, about your industry, and then find the creators. So you're finding the content first, you're finding good content, and then you're finding the creator and you're adding them to your list. However you do it, just get it done. Just keep adding, keep building your roster of creators so they are ready to go when you need to produce ads. Now we get to one of the highest leverage steps: creative iteration. If you've been running meta ads for a while, you probably already have some winning ads sitting in your asset library. The issue is that most people forget to take these assets and remix them or update them. So you're winning ad fatigues and you start from scratch completely. Don't do that. Every week, make it a habit to test iterations. It doesn't matter how small the changes are. It could be a new hook, a new text hook, a new opener. You can just change the order of the assets as long as you're doing something and you're maximizing your existing library of content. Funnily enough, one of our current top spenders for a client is just an old ad, an old winning ad that we thought was dead, and we just added a new hook to the beginning of it, and it completely revived the account. It's now the top spending ad. You never know which small tweaks will result in a winning ad. So build this habit every week. Create as many iterations as you have time for, and launch them in your ad account. And who knows, maybe you'll find the next winning ad. And the final step on the checklist is all about testing. It's weekly meta ads experiments. Now, in this step, this is where you get hands-on in the account and you push the boundaries of your account. Meta rolls out new features constantly. So there are a lot of new features to test: formats, placements, bidding, attribution settings, and so on. You want to stay ahead of the curve. You do not want to fall behind the curve. Your competitors are probably staying ahead of the curve, so make sure you do as well. Now, the way that I do this is to keep a running list of test ideas. Again, doesn't matter where you store it. Write it on sticky notes. I don't care. Just capture the ideas. Then every week, you're going to choose 1 or 2 ideas and you're going to execute on them. You're going to get into the ad account. You're going to create the experiments and execute on them. Could be horizontal scaling by adding campaigns or ad sets. It could be testing new attribution settings. It could be anything. Test new bidding, whatever you want. Create a list of experiments. And just execute on them every week. If you need help coming up with experiment ideas, I've written a blog post and it's the same checklist that we use and we give our media buyers internally so they can come up with high impact ideas very easily. I'm going to link to the blog post in the description. Follow this blog post, brainstorm ideas. You should never run out of ways to improve your account. Okay, so that's the entire checklist. That's my 8-step weekly checklist to scale meta ads profitably in 2025. No tricks, no hacks, no shortcuts, just proven fundamentals that work every single time across any brand in any industry, done at a high level consistently. That's what it takes to scale meta ads and build a profitable, predictable, and sustainable brand. If you follow this list every week, even for 4, 8, 12 weeks, I can almost guarantee that you'll see a difference. The compound effect of these small, high impact activities can have dramatic results. So give it a shot, track your results. Let me know how it goes. I'd love to hear from you. DM or email me anytime if you've got any questions about the checklist. And don't forget to check the description below for all of the tools, templates, and resources that I mentioned in this video. They will help you put everything into action faster. Okay, that's it. See you in the next video.